Drummers Against Implied Timekeeping. This is a drum materials comparable study. It's similar to my bass drum comparable study in that I just want to explain the components of drum making, what the drums are made out of, and what to look for, the pluses and minuses. Again, as always, as a disclaimer, this is only an opinion based on many, many years of experience. And so I don't want to have an argument with you. And I always mention philosophically, I wish I had every type of drum possible, but we can't. And I just want to explain the pluses and minuses of each and every type of drum. Most drums, of course, are made of wood. Wood is a fantastic material, and it's been around for 10,000 years of drumming. It's tried and tested, no argument there. It is great. Particular woods, I want you to always remember, are utilized in drum making. And the primary wood is maple, because maple is very versatile. It booms on the drums, no matter what the ply is, from 3 to 9 ply shells. Maple just booms, and it's versatile to rock, jazz, pop, fusion, anything. It's just been great for drum makers, and I agree with them. I have used birch, and birch is a warmer wood. If you have drums or are inquiring about birch drums, I highly recommend them because birch record very well. They're warmer and they have an interesting tonality. So I'm a big fan of birch. The other wood that I've played before is beechwood, which was sonar drums in the 70s. I had the set and I just thought it was great. It had a great overall timbre to it, and I loved it. And so beechwood drums, great. I've not had the opportunity to play the Yamaha oak, but from what I've heard of it, I think it is a fantastic wood for drum making, because the oak is a dry wood. It gives a drier sound, less boom. It has more center focused on the tones of the toms. And so Yamaha, I think, has really struck it well in balancing sound by utilizing the oak. And I think it's a great thing that they've done there. Other woods are exotic woods that they combine with maple on particular size drums. You'll see maple combined with a rosewood or cherry, mahogany. These are exotic woods, and they're excellent with maple, and depending on the sizes of the drums, the tonality changes. And to a lot of audiologists who study these things, which I don't, of course, they like the tonality of mixing woods. But I would say in general, even when they mix exotic woods, such as mahogany, let's say, I still think all maple is superior to it because of the intrinsic boom that maple gives. Also, you'll see some exotic woods. There's a company called Spirit Drums out of Australia. Look into them because they have the densest wood in the world, Cooktown ironwood. The snare drum, I've played them, and I like them very, very much. They are very expensive. Being the densest wood in the world, being ironwood, it gives a very dry sound and powerful, and it's very good stuff. Brady Drum Company out of Australia makes Yarra wood, and they mix woods with maple, such as Brazilian rosewood and ebony and various other nice woods. And their drums are just boomy as could be, and I highly recommend them as well because of that. As a general rule of thumb, I want you to know that drum head technology has made it possible, combined with shell technology getting much better. You have so many more variables that 45, 47 years ago when I started playing just didn't exist. Now I think it's necessary for younger drummers with lots of choices to understand where the future lies. I believe if you can, I want you to go back to my other videos regarding drum set killer and various what to buy videos. But the issue now is wood is no longer the only kid on the block. I am very, very enthusiastic about aluminum drums, because where wood can tend to age and it has character after a while, in drums wood can fall out of round. Wood is very pliable and bendable and these sort of things. So if you're in extreme temperatures, it does become a problem, especially if you're recording. It is an issue a bit. And so the drawbacks that you have in natural wood and the pluses of having this boom and this wonderful warm sound, I think aluminum drums now are beginning to catch up with wood because heads, Evans and Remo and Aquarian and Attack drum heads come to mind. The technology of the head, you can quell down boomy metal drums now that you couldn't do before. So this is a fantastic thing and why I'm enthusiastic about all metal type of drums. Aluminum coming to mind with trickdrums.com. I was one of the first guys that I knew that had the Trick snare drum in 1981. I bought it off Pro Drum Shop in Hollywood, maybe for $120, which was a lot back then, and I just thought, wow, this is fantastic. It recorded great. Trick aluminum snare drum. And of course they've gone on to bigger and better things with their pedals and stuff, but so I'm a big advocate of that company. I'm also a big advocate of Rocket Shells, which is carbon fiber drums. Carbon fiber gives you all the attack of a wood and the warmth of metal too, or the other way around. All the warmth of wood and all the attack of metal. It is a fantastic material and I highly recommend you looking into it. The idea here is if you have a wood drum set and you've been playing a while and you like the drums that you have, if you're going to get a second drum set, I guess the point I'm trying to make is rather than get a second wood drum set, I want you to look into aluminum, carbon fiber, or even acrylic. I also like acrylic drums. The downside to acrylic drums, if there is any, is in the smaller tom sizes, they don't sound good. A 10, a 12, and even a 13, for some reason, don't sound very good in acrylic. But the snare drums sound just great. They're cheap and good. My philosophy is cheap and good. They're great. And the 14, 16, and 18, and the bass drums are great, except if they're 22s or 20. Acrylic in these sizes are not as good. Only in the big sizes. Maybe that's why Bonham was so successful with them in the 70s, because he was using big drums, and I think it was a matter of luck. They were testing acrylic, big drums, it worked, bingo. But as they tried smaller sizes with the acrylic, they don't sound good at all, in my opinion. So, but the large, definitely look into acrylic. I also really am curious about a drum maker out of Taiwan, Formosa, China, called Ming Drum, M-I-N-G Drum. They are making drums out of fiberglass. I do not like fiberglass drums. Avoid those drums. They're terrible. I had a Pearl drum set made of fiberglass in the 70s and I just despised it. It recorded awful. Stay away from it. But they're making carbon fiber as well, and they're great. And they're also making drums in Kevlar, which is the bulletproof material. I have not heard it, but my curiosity is very piqued by that. And I want you to look into that. They're very expensive, but that's the type of thing I'm looking into always. I like wood, but I like alternatives to wood. That's why I have a Remo drum set. Remo was making the drums in the 90s. Obviously, they've dropped them now. But the Master Touch and Master Edge drums, because they were a hybrid of epoxy resin and wood, my curiosity right away went to it. Because it offered a variance in sound, and head technology was coming up, and it ended up, I think, a great decision. Unfortunately, Remo is no longer making drums, but I really enjoy their drums. Not all of their drums, but a lot of them, because of my philosophy of cheap and good. But and going back again, I also like stainless steel drums. When Ludwig made the stainless steel in the 70s, I just think they're great. I still have a stainless steel tom from that era. However, when they did the reissue, as much as I like stainless steel drums, they still did 14-inch deep rather than 16-inch deep on the stainless steel. And I dismissed that right away. I'm a big advocate of 24-inch bass drums, but they made them 14 inches deep from the tradition of the 70s, and they should not have done that. Should have made it 16 always. But even with that said, stainless steel, fantastic drums. Because as I say, head technology has changed everything. Head technology can quell overtones. Head technology can bring out in drums, metal drums, non-wood drums, sounds that I never thought could be this great. Because as a rule of thumb, I always want you to remember, boomy drums, regardless of what they are, can always be toned down. Dry drums, to get them more lively, a little more difficult. And that is something you should know. So again, these are the things that have come to mind through my experience that I want to share with you. Another thing is, I enjoy all snare drums, wood and metal, and I've played them all. They are all have great variables, including the acrylic and the aluminum, and obviously the brass, fantastic, and steel. The only snare drums that were always distinctively bad were the bronze snare drums from Ludwig. Ludwig had a short period where they were making bronze snares, and they're terrible. Whether they were in 5 or 6.5, they were awful. Recorded poorly and just were no good. But everything else Ludwig ever made, I always thought was a great thing. So keep that in mind. So if you have any questions regarding these things, and again, it's my opinion through experience, feel free to ask me. Overall, I think most of the manufacturers now, including the head technology, has made it so great for a drummer to have selection. The only thing that I would say is negative is fiberglass drums and bronze snare drums. But all the others, I think, are absolutely great and record well. If you have particular questions about these things, feel free to ask me, because it's difficult to make a video without knowing your variables and your price range, of course. So ask me. I'm on twitter.com/drummersagainst or facebook.com/drummersagainst, implied timekeeping, the whole thing. And for those of you coming in for the first time, I invite you to go back and take a look at my introduction and my explain videos, which goes through my entire series. I have a pretty big catalog of how philosophically I play the drums. And I would like to ask you to subscribe to my channel. Your subscription is your way of showing support for what I'm doing and what I'm planning for the future. So I appreciate that. Those of you who have stayed and subscribed and stayed with me, thank you so much for that support. I appreciate it. So let me know. This is a little bit about drum materials, and hopefully I covered some things you would want to know. All right? Take care. My best.